Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning. Welcome back. You're listening to the Scout Team, bringing you Scout Team Sports. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
And all of that is true. And the man on the other microphone, he is known as the Great Patriot himself, and that would be...
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this Tuesday morning on 12 Ounce Sports Radio Network and every weekday morning, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7, and then we redo it again at 11 a.m. Loudbeard, this past weekend we had two top 5 teams lose. We had a UFC fight that went down in history with the most crazy melee. We had overtime games in the NFL. We had 63-yard game-winning field goals, and it was a spectacular weekend. And then Monday night said, hold my beer. And last night was, I'm sorry. Loudbeard, I'm sorry the Redskins lost. But it was an awesome night for everybody else. It was a great night for Drew Brees, a great night for Brock Holt. It was just an awesome night. But I know I kind of got lost in the mix, and I don't want to be rude to you and your Redskins. That was a Mack truck that just couldn't be stopped with Drew Brees being so close to the record. And I kind of felt like that was going to happen.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in the world of sports. We've got baseball playoffs that are completely hot right now. A lot of news going on about the UFC because of that big fight over the weekend. But none of it really mattered that much because we saw the living legend himself, Drew Brees, doing his thing on Monday night. And as a Redskins fan, I have to say, man, I bow to that guy. That guy, I got so much to say. Is that where we're going to start out? Are we going full Drew Brees to start this out today?
I think we should, and let's just go.
Think we should.
Let's roll with his post-game interview. Give me one.
All right, let's do Drew Brees post-game.
It's hard, there's just so many people that are responsible for that share or had a hand in that can share in that, and before the game, two of the most important people in my life, two of the people that were probably most responsible for my football career early on in my life, thank you, are up in heaven. It was my mom and my grandfather, and there were a lot of people that I wanted to prove right tonight and make proud, but none more so than them. And so I know they're watching down on me at all times, and my kids, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to play this game and to have played it for so long, and to have the teammates that I have and the New Orleans Saints organization and this great city and this great fan base. It's really been a dream come true. I'll be able to reflect on it maybe a little bit more when my career is done. I still feel like there's work to be done, but just really, really proud and very grateful.
What has resonated so much with the folks watching was what you said to your kids. Do you remember what you even said to them?
Well, it's probably what I tell them every night before they go to bed, which is, you can accomplish anything in life you're willing to work for. So, just, nothing's given, everything's earned, but, God has equipped us for great works, and I tell them that every night.
What was the play call, the one that actually broke the record? Did you know how close you were, and what was the play?
Well, I knew if we went down and scored on that 2-minute drive and all of those were passing yards, I figured we would be pretty close. Gun King trips right, tear 52 all go special, 52 sway all go special, XL across H wide. So yeah, I'll remember that one for a long time.
You said your very first preseason game, you walked into a stadium in Miami, you looked up and you saw all of Marino's records and just thought, wow. When will it sink in? You've passed Marino, you've passed Favre, you've passed Manning, you've passed all of them, Drew. You're at the top. When's that going to sink in?
I don't know if that'll ever sink in, because I just love playing the game. I didn't set out on this journey to break these records. I played because I love the game and I love to compete and I love being a part of this organization.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to you.
Yeah, it was a little long of a clip, but I felt like Drew Brees deserved it. I felt like he deserves whatever airtime he needs on any platform to, to say what he needs to say about that moment, man. And it was a great moment in NFL history. Another cool thing about that, Kyle, or Loudbeard, is that he threw it to a UCF player, and it was Traquan Smith's first touchdown in NFL. So that's kind of cool that his first touchdown is Drew Brees' record-breaking passing yard NFL deal. I don't know why.
It is kind of cool. I thought about this during the game, though. Like, if that was your first NFL touchdown, wouldn't you want the game or the ball? You would say, like, this is my first
and
career
I thought about that too. How he lost.
Like, you're sitting there, like,
ball.
Are you kidding me? This is my first touchdown, but it's Drew Brees, so he was probably ecstatic just to say,
right,
I was a part of that play. Like, he is in the record books. He's in the history books as being the guy that caught the record-breaking catch/touchdown from Drew Brees. And I kind of reflected a little bit on the career of Drew Brees after seeing all of this. And, I think he gets lost in the shuffle a little bit when we look at great quarterbacks because he lived in the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady era. You had Peyton Manning, who was the number one pick overall, that we anointed as being the greatest quarterback of all time before he even showed it on the field. And then you had Tom Brady, who had this I'm a 6th-round draft pick, and I come out and all I do is win Super Bowls with Bill Belichick. And living in that era, he kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. But this guy is a living legend. And when you look back at his story, I mean, he gets drafted in the 2nd round out of Purdue. He goes and plays for the Chargers, and he plays really well. He gets selected for a Pro Bowl. And what do? They draft Phillip Rivers to give him a little bit of a out. They say, you know what, we like you, but we need a better quarterback. You're just not good enough. Even though he was a good quarterback there, he hadn't won any playoff games. He only had a couple seasons with the Chargers. His last game in San Diego, he goes down rough, and he has this bad shoulder injury. So then the Chargers are like, well, you're hurt now, and we drafted Phillip Rivers, so you're out of San Diego. So then he becomes a free agent, and guess what? Nick Saban's sitting there in Miami, 2nd-year coach. He isn't the legend that he is now. He is just Nick Saban, and he wants Drew Brees. He brings him in, and the training staff says, now the injury risk is really high with this guy. I don't think you're going to want him. And Alabama should be very happy right now that UCF is around because UCF legend Dante Culpepper was also there, and because they had a backup plan and Culpepper was available, they said, you know what, we're going to hold off on picking and getting Drew Brees because of this injury risk. Let's go ahead and take Dante Culpepper, and he could be our future. So the Miami Dolphins franchise, not only did it lose one of the best coaches of all time in Nick Saban because of this move, it also didn't get one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and they have been a dumpster fire for 10 years because of it, and all because of a shoulder injury. And who lucks upon Drew Brees? That would be the New Orleans Saints, who had been down on their luck for a long time. They were called the Aints for years and years, and people were wearing brown paper bags over their heads. And they bring in Drew Brees, and he revitalizes the city. And then they have that terrible Katrina disaster. And, I mean, not to put, not give that the credit it's due. It's the city coming together and Drew Brees coming out and being a figurehead in that community and helping them through that disaster. That was just part of his legacy, and going and winning Super Bowls and just being a class act for the city of New Orleans. I mean, the story could not have ended any better, and him just sitting out there on Monday Night Football in primetime in the spotlight, throwing to another UCF guy, Traquan Smith, And it just, I don't know. I got goosebumps when that pass happened. Everybody, the whole place just erupted. His family was on the sidelines. You saw all of the players come over and just giving him big hugs, and and then they showed him mic'd up afterwards, and it was like, "I love you, man. I love you. Congrats!" And you could just see that everybody on the Saints team was excited for what Drew Brees was doing, and I don't know. It was just one of the greatest football moments I had ever witnessed. Even though the touchdown was basically burying my Redskins, I didn't even care at that moment because I could appreciate the greatness that Drew Brees has done for this league. I mean, this guy is like an automatic 5,000 yards every year. And, I don't think his record's going to stand forever because of the way the league is going. It's becoming more of a passing league. I'm sure that it's going to get broken, 10 years down the road or 15 years down the road.
Probably by
just because
Patrick
of the way the
Mahomes.
leagues go. Maybe by Patrick Mahomes.
Or Kirk Cousins.
Who knows? Could be anybody.
Yeah. I mean, Kirk Cousins kind of has that same story as Drew Brees has going for him right now, so you do never know. And I mean, what was it, 3, 4, 5 years ago? I don't remember how long ago it was, but Peyton Manning was the one that broke the record.
Right,
So,
and that didn't last very long. So I don't
No.
think it's going to last, but it is something that is a phenomenal feat, and he has been so consistent. Again, they were worried about that shoulder injury. I think he's only missed 2 games since he's been in New Orleans. 176 games he's been there, and he's played 174. And Dante Culpepper, I think, only played like 4 games for Miami, and that was it. And he had bad knee injury, and he still hasn't – he never really played again after that. He never really recovered. So it's amazing, that decision and what went behind it and how it affected so many careers and how it affected so many cities. If, let's say, the Dolphins get Drew Brees, there's a good chance Nick Saban doesn't leave Miami and go back to college. Imagine Alabama right now. Alabama could be Nebraska if Nick Saban doesn't go back. Just, I mean, put that in perspective.
It's why I always ask LSU Saints fans, because they're one and the same. If you could go back in time and change that little fact of history, would you do it? And I always get gosh, that's a hard one, because they get Drew Brees. They get the Super Bowl. They get a contending team year in and year out, a playoff contending team, that is. But they also have to realize that Nick Saban is in Alabama. Because if Drew Brees goes there, even if it doesn't work out, because it's not like that Nick Saban is this offensive genius who could give Drew Brees the stats. Sean Payton is part of this formula too. A lot of his schemes and everything work with the strengths of Drew Brees. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Drew Brees, but, coaches help out. Joe Montana had Walsh. Tom Brady has Bill Belichick and what's his name? The offensive coordinator that I can't think of. McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels.
I'm not taking anything away from any of those guys, but different coaches matter sometimes. But even so, it would have kept Nick Saban, I think, for at least 3 or 4 more years. Alabama would have moved on to another hire, So you're right. They could be Nebraska.
I don't know, the way Alabama thinks right now that they're on top of the world, all of that is because of one man, and that's Nick Saban.
Right.
And Nick Saban's career path could have been completely different, a whole different trajectory.
We need
a time machine Tuesday for this, just to go back in time.
They, if you think about Alabama from like 96, maybe 2000, I think. I don't remember when, what's his name? Sean Alexander was there. That was like the last time they were really good, but they had so many bad years or so many mediocre years that they were Nebraska for the longest time in the early 2000s until Nick Saban got there in 2007.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And we don't want to just gloss over this, but this had 2 bookends known as UCF. One, Dante Culpepper, UCF legend, was the pick that the Dolphins picked over Drew Brees when they were doing their free agency selection for quarterbacks. And at the very end, Drew Brees breaks the record throwing to a wide receiver from UCF, Traquan
Rookie
Smith.
wide receiver too, man. It was awesome.
So
it was an awesome night.
If I was Alabama, I would be thanking UCF right now by giving them a home and home series, right? Scheduling
right?
it. That's what I would be doing.
It's for real. Before we move on from this topic, let's just hear the play one more time.
Wide open, and Smith, what a way
What a way to do it, indeed. It was it's a play that we're going to see over and over and over again, and at least your Redskins get to be a part of it. Hopefully, your Redskins bounce back, win a Super Bowl this year to where that night won't even hurt a bit because you'll be like, yeah, I'm glad Drew Brees got it over us, but we won the Super Bowl that year.
You know, I looked at this game, and going in, I wasn't extremely confident because I didn't know what the Redskins were. I mean, we beat an Arizona Cardinals team, which that doesn't mean much, right? Arizona's just not that good. We lost to a Indianapolis Colts team that's not that good, and then we beat the Packers, but we realize now that maybe the Packers are not that good, or at least they're going through a little bit of a cold streak. So the Redskins hadn't played anybody good, in my opinion. And again, the Packers can be good. They're just not playing good right now. And so this game was a telltale sign for me as a Redskins fan that maybe we're just a mediocre team. The good news is we can be mediocre and still make the playoffs because we're in the NFC East, and we're going up against the mediocre Cowboys, the less than mediocre Giants, and the surprisingly mediocre Eagles. So I wasn't happy, did not get a warm fuzzy from this game, but it was a historic night. That was the good part. My team, the Redskins, they left a lot to be desired out on the field. I don't know, or less than to be desired out on the field. I wasn't super happy about it, but moving on from that, I mean, I'm sure we've got plenty of other things to cover. I do want to throw out just a quick, I guess maybe this is a conspiracy theory, but it's kind of getting out there a little bit. The NFC East also has the Philadelphia Eagles, who were the Super Bowl champions, but they're not looking too good right now. And they just lost their star running back, Jay Ajayi, to an ACL tear. So what do they immediately do? They call up Fletcher Cox, who's one of their highest paid guys, and they say, let's go ahead and restructure your contract. We'll give you more front-end money or more back-end money, whatever it takes, but we just need to open up a little bit more cap space. And there is a Pro Bowl running back over in Pittsburgh that's up for auction that the Steelers are ready to trade. You think the Eagles could have the balls to go out and get Le'Veon Bell from the Steelers to try to turn their season around? Do you think this is a possibility? The stories I've read say, no, they're not interested, but that's a smokescreen in my opinion. I think they're setting up a big play here. Any thoughts on this?
If they were able to turn Sam Bradford into whatever draft picks they got from the Minnesota Vikings, yes, they can sell snow cones to an Eskimo. Like, they can sell ice to an Eskimo, I think is the actual saying. Yeah, I think they can pull it off just because of what we've seen their deals in the past and how they've somehow managed to win trade after trade after trade. That Sam Bradford deal, when they got rid of him after they signed him to 2 years, $36 million, was fantastic. Somehow they duped another team into giving them draft picks for the awful Sam Bradford.
And they're not opposed to just making in-season trades. They picked up Ajayi, I think it was last year or the year before.
No, it was the year they won the Super Bowl, mid-season, right before the trade deadline.
Right.
Because I remember thinking, wow, Ajayi just went from an awful Miami team to possibly, playoff contender. Well, it wasn't possibly. They were a playoff contender. They were the number one team in the NFL as far as record goes. And as we saw, he won a Super Bowl with them.
Yeah,
I'd leave the beaches of South Beach for a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that was worth it. It ended up being a good story in the end. And so the Eagles are not afraid. That front office is not afraid to make a big move mid-season. So I think that they're winding up for maybe trying to hit one out of the park here. And if they got Le'Veon Bell, I'm telling you, with how bad the NFC East is, that would be a huge win for the Eagles. And they would be back in it in a heartbeat. I think they got to make this move. I think that they have to make this happen. And the Steelers are open to trading Le'Veon. Now, they're probably going to want some high draft picks. But isn't it worth it? With the talent that the Eagles have, getting him in, that would put them firmly in a playoff spot in the NFC East. I think that would make them the division leaders.
Oh, without a doubt, that would put them above and beyond what they are. It'll definitely get them off the mat. That's for sure. They need something. I don't know. I haven't watched enough Eagles games this year to tell you exactly what that something is. but something's not right. I don't know if it's Super Bowl hangover or maybe they're just a little cocky. They think they can just show up and win just by being there and putting on the Eagle uniform. But, maybe they have one of those player-only meetings and everything else. But if you're ready to move on to the next story in the NFL, let me know and I'll lead into it.
All right. Go for it, man. You tell me what you got. You got it?
All right. Yeah, I got it. You mentioned the mediocre Giants. There could be a reason why they're mediocre, and that was the comments made by OBJ this weekend on ESPN.
An issue at quarterback then?
I don't know. Like I said, I feel like he's not going to get out the pocket. He's not. We know Eli's not running. But is it a matter of time issue? Can he still throw it? Yeah, and it's been cool catching a shallow and trying to take it to the house. But I wanna go over the top of somebody. I feel like in the past 5 years they found a way to run a cover two, keep everything in front, and that's how they play me. And there's no way to how do we beat this? I feel like I'm being out schemed, and then I also don't have a chance to do something, or I got to take a slant and go 60. And not to say it's not fun, but it's like I want some easy touchdowns too. I watch everybody across the league, all the top receivers get the ball the way that they should, and if they don't, they say something about it.
Man, those are some pretty harsh comments, and I don't know why, but Lil Wayne was sitting next to him in that interview. It was very odd.
It's part of his entourage, man. If you're a baller like Odell Beckham, you got to have an entourage, and you're not just going to have Joe Schmo sitting there. You're let me up my game. Hey, this is my boy Lil Wayne. He's just hanging out. I'm going to be telling you about how Eli Manning is a punk, but here, Lil Wayne's just going to sit here and smile.
And it was kind of like he was like his church service, amen guy, because he was talking, and I don't know if you could really hear him, but he was like, yep, amen, yes, sir. It was pretty funny. I just when they pan back to OBJ and I see Lil Wayne just chilling out with OBJ while he's giving this serious interview about his football team. I'm like, what is going on? But that's the NFL today, I guess.
Yeah, they're divas, man. Well, that's the wide receiver diva for you. They always want to out diva each other. Next, you'll see Antonio Brown doing an interview, and he'll have 17 movie stars and musicians just all hanging out with him. He'll be like, "Oh, OBJ, you think you're good with Lil Wayne? Check who's with me." They're always trying to outdo each other, so you'll see that. But going back to what his comments were, Eli Manning is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's got 2 rings for the Giants. He has earned his right to be on that field. But what Odell Beckham is saying is not necessarily not true. Eli has been a good quarterback, but he has also been a bad quarterback at times. And I don't think that Eli is able to still give it what he used to be able to. I think he's declining, and he was never ever thought of as being the best quarterback in the league, or that you had the Drew Breezes and the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Bradys. Eli was always in that next conversation, and there was always that argument look how bad he looked today. How is he an elite quarterback when he threw 5 interceptions in the game? How is he an elite quarterback when he has just no facial expressions and he misses throws by a ton? And there was always these discussions about Eli, and I think he was able, by winning the Super Bowl, was able to get a lot of the naysayers to get off of his back. But now those Super Bowls are kind of pretty far removed. So now we're starting to see where McAdoo last year benches Eli. And I bet at that point Odell Beckham was thinking, oh, this isn't bad. I get to try out a new guy. I mean, bringing in Geno Smith was having him as your starting quarterback was not the answer. But if you had a Patrick Mahomes sitting on the bench, you would not in a heartbeat you would play Patrick Mahomes over Eli Manning. And that's what Odell's thinking. He's like, look at this. Deshaun Watson is just throwing the ball up to DeAndre Hopkins and can just throw it downfield a ton. Patrick Mahomes, look at all these young quarterbacks that just can put the ball anywhere on the field. And I've got Eli over here. He's slow, he's old, and he just can't get the ball over the top. And that's my strength. I'm not being utilized to my strength. And OBJ is just sitting there just wondering, when is it going to end? When is he going to have one of these quarterbacks that just can light it up? And he's thinking he can make a quarterback better. It's like Dante Culpepper having Randy Moss. Without Randy Moss, Culpepper was garbage. With Randy Moss, he was a Pro Bowl quarterback. OBJ's thinking, I can make somebody, Dante Culpepper, where as long as they've got a big arm, I can make them look like a superstar. I just can't make Eli look like a superstar because nobody can. And I don't think his comments are that far off base. I just don't think he should have made them publicly.
Yeah, it's something you don't want to hear if you're a GM or a coach, and especially if you're Eli Manning. I don't know if anybody heard those comments before the game on Sunday. If they did, it didn't affect them at all. OBJ went off. The Giants gave the Panthers all they could ever ask for or wanted. But you could tell, like, he mentioned in his comments, he's like, I can run these slants and I can make plays and everything else. And he showed that on Sunday afternoon. He did everything. I think he had like over 120 yards receiving. He had a throwing touchdown to top it all off with everything else. He's just wanting that over the top. Let me just run downfield and catch it over somebody type guy. And Eli can do that sometimes. I saw him do it a couple of times on Sunday, but he's not a guy that's going to do that week in and week out. And I think even if Eli was playing, but he knew there was a Patrick Mahomes on the bench or a Sam Darnold or a Josh Rosen, any of the young quarterbacks sitting on the bench that he knows, like, hey, I know for a fact that my future here is secure with the Giants, that we'll ride this Eli thing out until he's ready to go, and then we'll pick up where we left off. Because didn't he just sign like an extension this summer too, OBJ?
Yeah, he signed a big contract. He's going to be there for a while.
He's got a long time, and he's sitting there thinking, like, man, this is my peak time of my career. I don't want it wasted with a guy that can't get me the ball. And it's understandable, and like you said, don't want to what did I say? Don't want to make it public. Yeah, but we mentioned that Carolina game. Go ahead.
Keep it private. Say it again.
No, so we mentioned that Carolina game and how they almost won, and we'll go into commercial break with this and cap off the NFL talk with this play call. This is what kept the New York Giants from winning, the Spanish call.
Le ha sobrado distancia, le van a servir. Tiene altura, tiene profundidad, va a llegar. ¡Ganó, señor! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Yo sí le voy a los Panthers! ¡Taca! ¡Yo sí le voy a los Panthers!
Yeah.
I just want to learn Spanish. Just so
Sorry, I
I
was
can,
already going to the commercials.
No. I want to learn Spanish just so I can listen to that radio call, man, because it's so much better than what we do here in English.
Oh, the Spanish calls in soccer and basketball and football, it doesn't matter what sport, it is always better.
They go nuts.
They go absolutely nuts, and that's how it should be. So, Chris America, we just finished up all of our football talk. We have a record-breaking night in baseball, but it is not like you think. It is not the Drew Brees kind of record-breaking. It is a bad record for the Yankees to break. We'll talk about that on the flip side.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst."
Oh, guess who it is? Did you know the station had a janitor? Oh yeah, the Jefe, otherwise known as Beck. And it's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch interviews, special guests, and the recap of the week's news and headlines and box scores and results. It's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. we have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb. Do you own a small business? Are you looking for solutions to all of your communications problems and challenges that you have? Check out Ring Central. Give them a call. They have partnered with 12ouncesportsradio.com to give you the best rates on all of your business and office solutions for communication. Give them a call today. We have a dedicated line for all of the 12-ounce sports radio listeners. It is 1-877-779-3860. You will get a representative on the phone who will help you with all of your small business communications needs. Once again, give them a call today, 1-877-779-3860. Yeah, good morning. It is Tuesday, October 9th, and you are listening to the Scout Team. I am Loudbeard, he is Chris America, and we like to bring you Scout Team sports each and every weekday morning, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce sports radio. And if you want to catch any of the old shows, or if you can't catch us in the morning and you want to hit us in the afternoon, check out Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or our website, scoutteamradio.com. As we're doing our morning show each and every morning, Chris America, I always like to tell our listeners and all of our fans, if you want to get social, if you want to tweet at us, make sure you hit us up at Scout Team Radio. You can tweet at us. You can also get social on Facebook or Instagram. We love all of that. 12-Ounce Sports Radio is the radio station that we are on. It is a great sports internet radio station with tons of great talent and great shows coming at you. I just pulled up the schedule for today, and we've got some great stuff ahead of us. And I don't know what that was. We got Brunch with the Buds coming on immediately after our live 7 or 6 a.m. show. So at 7 a.m., Brunch with the Buds. Clutch Talk Sports coming on at 8 a.m. Jimmy Young and What's Up Sports coming in hot at 10 a.m. You got our 11 a.m. replay of Scout Team in the morning with Scout Team Sports. You've got College Credit Hour on at noon. H-Town Sports on at 3. Bar Down Radio, Stick and Rink. You've got Captain Lou's Pucks and Pigskins on tonight. And Big Blue Views on again after Captain Lou's Pucks and Pigskins. Great lineup today, a lot of great shows. Make sure you check all of them out. Support this small local internet radio station because we're about ready to blow up, and there is a ton of great talent out there. And if you're like me, if you're like Chris America, you are so sick and tired of the talking heads over at the Sports Turd and all those other big radio and TV networks. These guys, they talk out of their asses, and you just get tired of hearing it all day. And you want the real stuff, you come to us. Right, Chris America?
That's right. We weren't the ones trashing Patrick Mahomes' pick or trashing him because of all of his interceptions in camp. We, Scout Team Radio, was telling you prior to the season, watch out for Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be, the next hottest thing. He is so hot right now, like Hansel. So it's just, we do what we do here at Scout Team Radio. And we play sound clips.
Tim Tebow as your absolute favorite of all time.
He's wearing the number 15 jersey. It's a little reminiscent of little Tebow. He's what Tebow should have been, is all I'm going to say. Like, he's the arm that Tebow needed to be what he is today. So, but I still love Tebow, but I love Patrick Mahomes. Tebow's home run Timmy now, and Patrick Mahomes is Showtime Mahomes.
Yep, and Tim Tebow's now playing baseball, and right now it's hot over in the playoffs. So
It
hot
is.
that the Red Sox have a special little record that they had last night, and that would be the first ever cycle that was hit in a postseason game, and that was by Brock Holt. Do you have maybe a little clip that we can play that we can hear about this?
Yeah, while Drew Brees was breaking the NFL all-time passing record, Brock Holt was doing this.
First ball swinging Brock Holt, a base hit. And the singles continue to come for the Red Sox. 2 on for Holt, and a line drive, fair ball, into the corner it goes. More runs are coming in for Boston. Pierce trying to score from first. He is in. On his way to third is Holt. It's a 2 RBI triple. Can you believe this? 10-0 Boston. That was driven into right center field. Brock Holt. And on the chase, that is going to bounce up and out. Have a night, Brock Holt. Devers will score the run. It's an RBI double for Holt, who has 3 runs batted in, is a home run shy of the cycle right now. That ball's ripped down the right field line. That is a fair ball home run, and the cycle for Brock Holt. He hits for the cycle in a postseason game. History for Brock Holt.
Yeah, what a night Brock Holt has. And if you can get a chance to see those videos, if you didn't see it last night, make sure you do, because he does like a little shimmy after each hit, and it was pretty funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, this was a big night for the Red Sox. When I look at the score, it's unbelievable how big of a margin this was. And come to find out, another record the Yankees broke last night was the biggest loss they have ever suffered in the postseason. And you know, with the history of the Yankees, how many times they have been in the postseason, how long they have played in the major leagues, for them to have this be their biggest loss ever in the postseason. I mean, this was huge. And then also letting Brock Holt hit for the cycle. I would say that this was a game the Yankees need to put in the past, move forward, because they're playing tonight against the Red Sox. Red Sox now have a 2-1 lead on the series, and it looks like they could put the Yankees away tonight if they come out hot, just like they were playing last night. And I think it looks pretty bleak and ominous right now for the Yankees. They got to turn it around and turn it around quick, but the Red Sox right now are hot. They are hitting the ball good, and they had such a great year this year. I don't think they're ready to just call it quits yet, so I think they're going to put their foot on the throat of the Yankees tonight, finish it off, so that they can move on to the next series.
This is one of the things that I love about baseball in October, is there's always a name that, unless you're a fan of the team, you've never heard of, that just emerges and erupts. I think 2 years ago, wasn't there a guy that hit like a home run every single postseason game? I don't remember what the streak was, but there's some sort of like home run streak by a guy that we've never heard of 2 years ago. And now we got Brock Holt hitting the first ever cycle. It's just awesome. I remember at the beginning of the season, what did everybody talk about? Stanton and Aaron Judge, then the Yankees, and how massive these trades were for the Yankees, and how they're going to take over baseball and run through it, and how the evil empire's back, and the Yankees just get to spend all this money now. Not that the Red Sox aren't spending money. I believe they're the leading team of money spent on players, but nobody was really talking about the Red Sox. Like we talked about how good the Red Sox would be, but it was all Yankees, 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 Aaron Judge and Carlos Stanton. And the Red Sox said, "No, man, this is our year. We're running through the regular season, and even if you're in our way, Yankees, we're going to run through you as well." And outside of the David Price meltdown, that's what the Red Sox have done. And I, like you said, I don't foresee that changing. Now we know the Red Sox-Yankees, man. This series is never over until the final out is for either team is caught or the strikeout is given. But yeah, so it should be good to see. The rest of the playoffs are set, I believe. The championship series are set, minus this Red Sox-Yankees series.
Yeah, everything's set. I do want to say that this was a karma win for the Red Sox, or a karma loss, really more for the Yankees. When David Price comes out, the Yankees fans give him a standing ovation for how bad he had pitched in the previous game. And after doing that, I feel like that's kind of like a dirty thing to do. I mean, as a fan, I get it. You're celebrating. You're like, okay, because you're such a bad pitcher in the postseason, That's why we got to win. We're going to cheer on the other team for playing so bad, and especially David Price. And the Red Sox are like, wait a second, that's our boy. That's David Price. You don't disrespect David Price. Here, let's hang up 16 on you, and let's see how you like it now. I bet Yankees fans are regretting standing up and giving David Price an ovation after that performance the Red Sox put on the field last night. I'm just saying that's a karma loss there for the Yankees. Maybe the fans should show a little bit more respect. David Price deserves respect. Even though he is not the best postseason pitcher, he deserves more respect than the Yankees fans gave him, and I'm glad the Red Sox punched him in the face so that they realize that is not acceptable. Now, you said there's other series going on out there. The Astros sweep the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland can't have too many good things going on at once, and this is a fact. I mean, they're cursed in so many ways. So, yeah, the Indians make the playoffs, but they get swept easily by the Astros. But I think a lot of Cleveland fans are just sitting back thinking, well, at least the Browns won this week. For the Browns to win meant the Cleveland Indians couldn't win. You can't have both things happen. It's like you can't have LeBron James in Cleveland and the Browns win. Like, LeBron has to leave Cleveland so that your basketball team's going to be garbage. That way your football team could be okay. So Cleveland has a curse. They're lucky to have at least one good team. This year they might have the Browns and the Indians, but the Indians are now officially out. They are done. Astros look good. They just easily defeated the Indians this series. Big win yesterday. I don't know. The Astros look kind of scary. And then on the other game, Dodgers-Braves. The Braves are fighting in this game. The Braves were fighting. I was watching a lot of this game as I was doing some stuff around the house. And honestly, the Braves look good. The crowd was into it. The Dodgers just have a very strong lineup. They have a lot of big bats, and those guys just wore down the Braves pitching staff and finally started getting some runs coming in. It was 2-1 for a while. Braves had a good lead, but the Dodgers just kept scoring, and they end up taking this one. And now the Dodgers have decided to name Clayton Kershaw the starter against the Brewers come Friday in the NLCS. So we're going to see the big names out there. The Red Hot Brewers are going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NLCS. And, yeah, we're going to have the Astros go up against whichever wins this other series of the Yankees and Red Sox. So we're getting set here as baseball season's getting red hot. A lot of great stuff coming out of both the NL and the AL. So I'm excited, man. Baseball is looking good.
Yeah, and we're going to just assume that it's the Boston Red Sox. I don't want to end up on, cold takes or anything, but we'll just say it's the Boston Red Sox and just look ahead. And that Boston-Houston series will be straight fire. It's the defending champs, the team that was red hot last year. They continue to be red hot this year, going against a team that looks even hotter in Boston. This is what should have been the ALCS last year. Not that the Yankees and Houston didn't give us a good ALCS, but Boston was a great team last year as well. And so now it looks like we might get it. But, hey, man, you never count the Yankees out. We'll see what they do tonight in New York to see if they can hang on. But I'm kind of hoping that Boston cleans them out and we can get on with the playoffs here.
Yeah, and the Yankees and the Red Sox are both heavyweight contenders in the majors. But there is another heavyweight contender and another heavyweight match that I want to talk about real quick here, Chris America.
Okay.
You and I, we're casual UFC fans, maybe a little bit more than casual. We like the UFC. But I was just taking a look at a possible Daniel Cormier fight that could be scheduled for the end of this year. Derek Lewis, after that huge win, you gave him your Oprah Solid yesterday. You were talking about how this guy just came back and was fighting for his life and gave the haymakers in the last 30 seconds. Dana White is looking at, let's see, do we do a heavyweight title fight? Derek Lewis versus Daniel Cormier at UFC 230? And that's set right there at the end of the year. Man, I'd pay to watch this fight. I'd be excited about this one.
Did they sign it?
They're talking about it. It's in discussions. It's not done deal yet. It's in discussions. But I think they're trying to make this happen, man. This would be a good fight.
So that's actually kind of surprising because after the fight, Joe Rogan asked Derek Lewis if he's ready to contend for the title, and I'll have to clean up the quote. Like I said, his interview was for Scout Team After Dark because it's not safe for morning. But he's like, I need to sit my black behind down. I need to work on my cardio. Shoot, I'm not ready for no title belt yet. I mean, that's a paraphrasing of what he said because I had to clean it up. So that's actually kind of surprising. And I'm wondering what's going on with the Lesnar DC fight. What happened to that?
I don't know. This is all just preliminary discussions.
Right.
I think they're trying to capitalize on everything from that big fight this past weekend. Derek Lewis became kind of a bigger star because of this.
Yeah.
And the UFC is good at capturing stars and trying to monetize them. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to monetize Derek Lewis while they can. The longer he sits and waits, the less people are going to know of him, or the less they're going to think of him, and they're going to move on. And I don't know.
He kind of saved himself that night because his last fight before that was with Nagano, and that was that 3-round, I think 20 total punches thrown fight. He definitely redeemed himself because his last fight was boring. So maybe they're like, we need to strike the iron while it's hot, like you said, because he might give us another boring fight like he did against Nagano.
Right. You just take advantage while you can, and that's what the UFC does. Yeah, and with Lesnar, I gotta wonder what's going on with Lesnar. He might have a WWE
I gotta wonder.
There's
got to be. I gotta wonder that there's got to be something with Nagano because as big as Lewis was and as funny as his post-interview fight is, I don't think he's ever going to be the draw that Lesnar is, and that's unfortunate because I think we need real fighters who are committed to UFC to be the draws, not these gimmicky wrestlers and boxers and stuff like that to come in and be a sideshow. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that. I'm curious to see how that goes, and I'll have to be getting on with the other Uneducated Fight Club guys to see what they think.
Yeah, and it may not materialize. Derek Lewis might say, you know what, it's not my time. I don't want to rush it. But if they sit there and they throw money out at him and they say, hey, can you turn it around? You know that he would probably say, well, you know what, let's do this.
You know, if they're looking for a guy that DC could fight, there's another guy that's going to be activated in exactly, what is today's date? The 9th?
Yes.
So in exactly 19 days, there's going to be a UFC fighter that's ready to go if he wants to fight somebody big for DC.
Oh yeah, who would that be?
December.
I don't recognize any big names that aren't cheaters that are coming out.
Well, nobody mentioned anything that he's not a cheater. He's definitely a cheater. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But he will be reactivated this October 28th. That is John Bones Jones. But Jones says he has no interest in...
We got to see a Jones fight.
We do. He said he has no... Jones says he has no interest in fighting DC. He wants to chase the 205 heavyweight belt again. And as long as DC's the heavyweight champ and that's the division he wants to fight in, I think his... paraphrasing again, his quote was just, to me, this DC fight isn't personal, so I'm not trying to go to what he's got going on and take things from him. I just want my own legacy. If anything, he's got to beat me. I don't have to beat him. So... I don't really foresee, unless DC wants to come down to 205 while Jones is the champ, I don't see that fight happening again. But, you know, like you said, money and everything else, time changes.
Money talks, man. Money talks.
I'm sure we'll see a DC Jones 3.
Speaking of money talks, so right now, Nevada Gaming Commission, they're looking into both Khabib and McGregor. They're filing complaints on both of them. But McGregor got his purse. They are withholding Khabib's money. So he was set to make $2 million off of this. They have not released his money, and they're holding it until a further investigation ensues. So this could be bad for Khabib. They don't want to give him the money until they fully vet everything that happened, and whether they're going to issue the fines or cut the purse or whatever they're going to do. It's still, it's very preliminary at this point. But I thought it was interesting that they didn't withhold McGregor's because I don't think he was deemed as being the one that incited it, but they are going to withhold Khabib's as they file these complaints, and they're going to have to make their decisions on what they're going to do moving forward. Now, McGregor is caught up in all this because I guess he threw a couple punches at a couple of Khabib's guys during the scuffle in the ring, and so they're both going to be investigated pretty heavily, but McGregor has already called up Dana White and said, I want a rematch. Now, would you be interested in watching another rematch? Because McGregor wasn't ready to fight Khabib. You could tell he wasn't ready. Now, with him losing once, Do you think he could maybe get that fire, that passion back to get him to be that top-level fighter that he could come in and actually contend with Khabib? Or do you think this is just a, hey, I'm a butt hurt and now I want to come back and try to, beat this guy?
Honestly, when I heard that McGregor wanted a rematch, it made me hope that this is a sign that the old McGregor is back. Not this new guy we have that wears the fancy clothes and the garbage suits and he's going around talking about, I want to fight Mayweather, these gimmicky fights, I want to fight GSP. It shows that he has a desire to be great and take on the greatest fighters of this era. Not saying that GSP isn't a great fighter, and we saw that the last time GSP was in the ring, he's still a world-class athlete, but it's good to see that McGregor wants to fight the top guys, the champion of his division, and not take this gimmicky fight. He won round 3, so it showed that McGregor made some adjustments, though I thought it was by a hair. I didn't notice that he won round 3, but Craig did, and Craig was right. That the scorecard came out that he won round 3, and it was when they stood up. It was a long period of time where McGregor and Khabib stood up, and Khabib couldn't take McGregor down in that round, and so Conor got some strikes in. It didn't seem like McGregor phased Khabib at all, though, with any of his punches. Every time he hit Khabib pretty hard, you saw Khabib kind of shake it off, give him one of those gestures that he's like, that was no big deal, come on, hit me harder. Now, we see fighters do that all the time, and then they get knocked out. So there's no telling if he was actually hurt or not, but he was definitely bluffing pretty hard if it did hurt. So I said the other day that, or yesterday I guess it was, it seems like forever ago, that if they fought 10 times, I would bet on Khabib 10 out of 10 times without many hesitations. So I don't know. It would be a good fight.
I'd love to see the old McGregor back, though. Like you're saying,
right.
If the old McGregor comes back, not the one that's fought the last 4 fights. I think that's him becoming that superstar that
guy that made $100 million.
Yeah, that's him. Now, when he was young and hungry, that was the McGregor that was scary, and I wish that guy would come back. I was hoping he would be back this past Saturday, and he was not. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we'll see him back again, but maybe he could prove us all wrong, and that's what I would love to see.
Well, he's got a 6-fight contract now, so he has to fight for UFC.
Now maybe he's going to step up. Maybe he's got no choice. He's got to fight. So his contract says he's going to fight. He doesn't want to go out and lose all 6 fights.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was going to say. Go ahead.
This is the hard part about not being in the same room. Now, I think that he doesn't deserve a title shot again until he earns one. I don't think his next fight should be Khabib. I think Ferguson on Saturday night earned the right to get a title shot next at Khabib. And maybe we can have a fight between McGregor and the winner of Nate Diaz and Poirier. Those 2 guys are up to fight as well. And then if McGregor wants, he can fight Khabib for the title if Khabib beats Ferguson, or if Ferguson beats Khabib, which is possible as well. And McGregor can make his choice. Do I want a rematch with Khabib, or do I want a title shot again against Ferguson? And we'll go from there. But I think with the fact that McGregor was out for 2 years and he came out as flat as he did against the champion, he lost his number 1 contendership in my mind. That he's going to have to re-earn it, at least in that division. He's going to have to put in some fights. Now, if Khabib loses, then all bets are off, and we can have a Khabib, McGregor too.
What about Pettis McGregor? That would be a good fight.
That would be a good fight too. If while we're watching Nate Diaz and Poirier go at it, maybe we can slide in a McGregor Pettis fight in there as well. This 155 division is pretty deep. It's one of the deepest in UFC right now.
Yeah. Oh, big time. That would be a fun fight. They're both strikers. I think they would put on a great show, and that would bring a lot of excitement back to McGregor if he was able to beat Pettis. Not that Pettis is a speed bump or anything. I think Pettis would give him a good battle, and that would let us know, could McGregor get back into it? Could he be that eye of the tiger? So Pettis would be a good opportunity for him to show, and if he could beat Pettis, maybe then he gets that, after Ferguson or Poirier, one of those guys. Anyway,
whoever McGregor fights next, though, he needs to come out and with fire. If he comes out looking like that, I can guarantee you his star will be diminished. We saw with Ronda Rousey where Ronda Rousey was on top of the world. She was a world beater. Everybody paid to see her fight. When she got knocked the F out by Holly Holmes, it took that sheen off a little bit, but we're like, okay, maybe it was just a bad matchup. Maybe it was just she wasn't ready for that type of striker. And then I think it was, I can't remember who, Muniz I think is the next fighter she fought, and she got her butt whooped again. And that was it for Ronda Rousey. Like the whole mystique of Ronda Rousey was completely wiped clean. And if McGregor comes out and gets dominated for 4 rounds again and loses, I don't know how you sell McGregor anymore. I mean, I know he's the loudmouth and everything, but we as sports fans, we want loudmouths to be able to back up their talk. And if McGregor has lost it, we're not going to be lining up in droves anymore to go see him lose again.
You bring up a good point. He is just like Ronda Rousey. What if, and this is just a big what if he fizzles in the UFC and he joins the WWE?
That would be electric.
Would he would just tear the roof off at the WWE. He would be the next Stone Cold or the next Rock or the next John Cena, a guy that just comes in and just takes the world by storm.
Oh, without a doubt.
He would be perfect in the WWE. So he has a backup plan. He has a place he can go as soon as all of this is done. Because if you're Vince McMahon, you're already making those calls.
Yeah.
You're already saying, okay, if this doesn't work out for you, you would fit in perfectly at the WWE. We would streamline you to be a main event week in and week out. You could have him premiere at WrestleMania next year or something. I mean, just think of the possibilities. He probably could make more money at the WWE for a longer period of time than he could continuing what he's doing at the UFC. But
he'd have to work more, though. He'd have to work more
every day.
I mean, that's a once a week on the main event, and then I don't know if they would make him do dark matches or not, but everybody thinks, it's wrestling's fake, so it's easy. No, like these guys bust their butts physically. I mean, they definitely work their chops. It's a lot harder than training for 3 months and then taking the next month off or something like that. These guys work hard at their craft. So, but yeah, the storylines write themselves. You could have Ronda Rousey as the female champ and McGregor as the men's champ, and they could just be sort of like this weird tag team. Not weird, but like they support each other. They're in each other's corners during each other's matches. They run, the WWE type deal. I mean, like I said, the storylines write themselves. But yeah, I'm excited. UFC, like we've mentioned before, 2019 for UFC is going to be one of the most electric years, and I'm excited for it. I'm glad we're finally, hopefully, McGregor doesn't lose and falls off the face of the earth like Ronda Rousey did. Hopefully, Jones stops testing positive for steroids and cocaine and hitting pregnant women in cars. Like, hopefully we move on that and we can actually keep these fighters.
I agree. And tomorrow on our show, we will be talking about how Vince McMahon has contracted the scout team to bring in McGregor for the big main event at the WWE. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. It has been another great show. We are excited to be on the airwaves each and every morning. That's right, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 a.m. Any parting words, Chris America?
If Ric Flair was a little bit younger, I'd like to see Rick and Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor.
Boom.
Could see like a double figure 4 leg lock. It would be awesome. You ever put a figure 4 leg lock on anybody when you were a kid?
Yeah, it hurts.
Oh, it hurts like a bee.
Yeah, it does.